Okay, let's talk about the United Airlines case. This company has been around for a while. It's the company that originated the idea of stewardesses. Okay, its headquarters has for a long time been in Chicago. One of the great world airlines. Fly the friendly skies is their slogan. They do business, luxury, and leisure travelers. Their target groups, the people who bring them the most money, are definitely the hyper travelers, the George Clooney types and up in the air. High income individuals, corporations. Their competition includes Delta, American, and US Airways. They have an enormous operational network. They are a founding member of the Star Alliance. In fact, they're the ones who kind of anchor the Star Alliance with 28 other participating airlines around the world. They have strong brand name and recognition. Everybody knows about United. And they also have been praised for their in-flight entertainment. Now, they have had a bunch of public image issues recently. And we're going to talk about maybe whether that's a result of something in the company culture or whether these are just separate incidents. They have also faced some issues with union protests and strikes. And then finally, there is the perennial issue in airlines, all airlines. The airline industry has never been very profitable. United itself was forced into bankruptcy in 2002. The good thing about the company's opportunities is that it is looking at, apart from the plague, after the plague is over, it's looking at a long-term trajectory in rising use of airlines. Lots of competition from low-cost airlines, especially discount airlines. Fuel prices are no longer rising. They were when I was putting this together. So that might be a good thing. But also, there is the risk of recession. Generally, people cut down on air travel. That's one of the first things that they do when a recession hits. Okay, let's talk about some of the incidents involving customer service that have given them a black eye and precisely what this means and maybe whether this is a company-wide thing or whether these are just separate incidents. Recently, Dr. Donna Beagle was returning home from a family trip to Walt Disney World when her autistic daughter, Juliet, became agitated because she was hungry during a layover flight in Houston. When Beagle was able to persuade a flight attendant to give her daughter some hot food, Juliet had calmed down and was quietly watching a movie when the pilot announced an emergency landing in Salt Lake City because her 15-year-old daughter had become disruptive. Police boarded the plane and escorted the entire family off. Beagle said Juliet has flown since she was 6 months. She continued to say she has been to 5 countries, 24 states, and we have never experienced anything like this. The company got kind of a black eye over this one. Here's another one. Actually, I guess it's more than 3. I've got 4. Tahera Ahmed accused United Airlines of Islamophobia after an encounter with a flight attendant. Ahmed asked for an unopened can of Diet Coke during beverage service on her flight, and the flight attendant brought her an opened can. She requested a new beverage for sanitary reasons. But for some reason, the employee refused to give her an unopened can of soda. A man sitting near her was later brought an unopened can of beer, and Ahmed asked the flight attendant, sorry for the typo, why she wasn't able to have a similar can. In response, the flight attendant stated, "We are unauthorized to give unopened cans to people because they may use it as a weapon on a plane." Okay? They got some bad publicity for that one. Here's the most famous one. Man forcefully escorted. In 2017, a 69-year-old doctor named David Dow was forcibly removed from United Airlines Express flight bound from Chicago to Louisville. You guys remember this incident? This is a very famous incident. Video emerged of aviation security officers dragging Dow, who was screaming and bloody, down the aisle of the aircraft by his arms. United Airlines said it randomly selected Dow along with 3 other passengers who left without incident after nobody volunteered to deplane in order to make room for 3 company employees who needed seats. Passengers who witnessed the incident said Dow explained to officers and crew that he had to work at a hospital the next day and so couldn't leave the plane. Okay, a report of the incident says that the excessive use of force caused Dow to break his nose, lose 2 teeth, and sustain a concussion. If I remember correctly, the nature of this incident was they had overbooked the flight, and they needed to fly 3 company employees to another location where they were going to then pilot another plane. And they asked for volunteers, and nobody wanted to leave. And so they began forcing people off, and he was selected for forced ejection from the plane. He didn't want to leave because, as he said, he had to work the next day at the hospital. So they brought in the Chicago police, and they forced him off, breaking his nose, losing 2 teeth, sustaining a concussion. It was nuts. People were videotaping it and stuff with their phones. Here's a final issue. Sofia Ceballos and her mother were boarding the flight from Houston Bush Intercontinental Airport to New York's LaGuardia Airport. As they had a 10-month-old bulldog, Coquito, in a tow, a flight attendant insisted that the dog be placed in an overhead bin before the plane took off. In addition, the family had a TSA-compliant pet carrier and had paid the required fee to carry the dog as a carry-on item. Still, the flight attendant claimed that the dog was a hazard as it was originally placed in the aisle of the plane. The dog remained in the bin for the duration of the 4-hour flight. It was not given any water and was found dead once they reached their destination. This was a well-known incident. A bunch of pet lovers all became horrified over this incident. The airline reported to the Department of Transportation the highest number of animal deaths of any U.S. carrier, 18. It's like a lot more than other airlines. This represents animal and cargo holds. Deaths were said to be due to pre-existing conditions, at least that's what they claimed. 75% of the deaths of animals in the year that this happened occurred on United Airlines. Okay, one thing in their favor, they have implemented a new system of procedures to ensure that animals are loaded onto the correct airplane and they are not sent to the wrong destination or left behind, which has been a perennial problem for United. And now you can also have an app where you get daily alerts to update you about your pet's location in case they actually happen to send your pet to the wrong place. They also responded to the passenger removal. They did suspend a security officer. All 3 officers that responded were put on administrative leave. 2 were later fired. Company stock price got hammered. Okay, and they settled with the doctor for an unspecified sum. United, I'm singling out in this presentation because they've had a lot of these public incidents, more than other kinds of airlines. Is this indicative of a difference in their company culture? I'm not sure. Are these unrelated incidents? Could be. There doesn't seem to be any necessary link here. Yet they do appear to be incidents where customers are not treated with dignity or respect. Any comments or thoughts from anybody on United? You guys flown on United and noticed anything? I've flown on United and I haven't ever noticed any difference between them and other airlines. None of us has flown anywhere in a while, have we? It's been a long time since the plague started. Any thoughts on the United case? Houston is one of United's hubs, so Houston Bush Intercontinental. And so United has substantial pricing power coming out of Houston. They regularly charge a lot more than other airlines coming out of Houston. My wife always tries to fly Southwest out of Hobby because she says it's cheaper. So I'm not sure. I don't look into those things.